Microphone? Is it? Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We're looking forward to moving to our next student presentation. And we have directly from Cuba, Camila Cortina, who also was an alumna of the program. She started the program during COVID, actually, in 2020. Is that correct? And now she's finishing up her master. Let me read a little bit about her bio. Camila Cortina is a Cuban pianist, educator, musicologist, and composer. Her music reimagines the sound and rhythm of her country through the lenses of jazz, classical, and world music. She won a full scholarship to study at Berklee in 2018 and has performed alongside artists like Terry Lynn Carrington and Diane Reeves. We welcome in our committee, our advisor is Maestro Chase Mori, and committee member Leo Blanco. Welcome, Leo. And please welcome with a warm applause, Camila.
Sorry, any chance we can lower a little bit the lights? I'm blind here. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Camila. Thank you so much, Marco, for the presentation. Thank you for being here. As you can see on the screen, my culminating experience is called In Clave, composing in odd meters from Clave perspective, and I aims to document my compositional process that in the last 6 months. I wanted to compose music that reflected my identity as a Cuban pianist and could serve also as a point of reference for other young artists with similar interests and cultural background as me. To do this, I tried to find a basic connection between rhythmic fundamentals of Cuban music and odd meters, using the concept of clave and other relevant devices of orchestrations as the link to make this happen. So, what is clave? I think of it as a rhythmic pattern that serves as a structural core, the skeleton of a complex polyrhythm that helps organizing and give meaning to the role of each instrument within the groove. Here is a quote that I found very revealing by Berklee professor Bertrand Lechma. I'm only going to read a little bit of it. And it says, clave operates as a sort of deep structure within the psychological, cognitive, and aesthetic reality of Cuban music. I'm going to leave it here in the screen, but I really want you to see and experience how this works. Let's take one of the traditional Cuban claves. Just rumba son clave in 2/3. And you can clap with me, just to make sure we are in the same boat. Now, let's hear how the bass line is built around this. Now let's hear the rest of the instrument in the rhythm section, how it's building around it. But this is the clave, we have it, right? Thank you. I'm sure you notice how this clave informs the tension and release of the polyrhythm and how all the other instruments within the ensemble relate to each other around it. There is a gravity, there is like a pulling and pushing there, a negotiation that is keeping the music moving forward, and I find it very fluid. There is a dance to it. I always been very interested in how this works and how to keep and maintain these behaviors in my original music. And I wanted to have this type of ingredients in my compositions. But I had a question. How can we recreate all these elements and relationships in an odd meter? So let's see how this example works, particularly in the first tune, which is in 7/4. The first composition is called Sonera, and it's a tribute to women in Latin American music. Sonera is the name that the lead female singer have, like in Son Montuno, in Timba Salsa. And this song is in 7/4, and it's built around a 14-bit clave by Jeff 10 Watts. Maestro Danilo Perez adapted this clave with Cuban influences for the groove and orchestration of his beat suite for the Americas, which I use as a reference during my research. Here we can see how the clave is building from rumba clave 2/3, with this last portion missing, and here rumba clave 3/2 with this one missing. But again, it's maintaining all these relationships, this balance between what is on the beats and off beats, because remember, like bass and all the other instruments are going to be built around that. So this is like the seed of my first composition, and I want you to hear how the bass line is fitting and is working together with that particular pattern. This is the clave. 1. Can we clap it? One. All right, let's see if we can keep track of that in the real context. Ah, what happened? Okay, we're back on track. Here we go. See you in the coda. You lost it. 1. We're almost there. That was the first one. The second piece is called Zapateo en 15, which means shoe tapping in 15. It is inspired in Cuban Zapateo, a countryside dance form rooted in the Spanish cultural heritage that is still preserved in Cuba. The clave on Zapateo sounds like this. And it's usually written in 3/4. Ooh, nice. You will have time for that. Just wait a second. However, the dancer's footwork suggests a ternary subdivision instead of a binary one. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, clap along with one. That's a clave. But look at the foot of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because it's in there. I was fascinated by the combination of this binary meter with a ternary feel that is so common in African music, and I tried to play around with this idea. For the first part of the song, I adapted the clave to make it fit into a big 5. And this is why, instead of being, now it will be 1, 2, 3, with 1 extra bit in the middle. Although the clave is not literally played, it is the center of the orchestration. On top of that, the melody flows freely, imitating the Cuban countryside lead singers, which are called repentistas. Now, for the second part of the song, is a montuno in 5/4. It uses another of Danilo Perez's claves, a 10-beat rhythmic pattern coming from rumba clave in 2/3, right there we have it on the screen, that should feel as a big 5/2 phrase. We can hear influence from changui genre in the comping style of the Venezuelan cuatro, and some other influence from timba in the treatment of the rhythm section. So let's listen now to some excerpts from the two sections, the first part and the second part. I'll try to clap along. So you can hear the is the core of the thing, is the dancer's footwork that I really want to feel, but 1, 2, 3. It's also there. Little cut, sorry. More and more of the connections with the blues and the swing, especially on the right of the cymbal. And some connection with South American, Latin American 3/4. Second part of the song, in big 5/2, and it sounds like this. 1, 1. The third composition is called Bulería de Noviembre. I wanted to dedicate this song to my mom, who was born in November. And since November is the 11th month of the year, guess what? The song is in 11/4. So I was inspired in two particular rhythmic patterns. The first one is the Spanish Bulería. And I would like you to listen and feel how the different parts of this polyrhythm also relate to each other in a pretty similar way to all the African elements that we've been listening to. We have a bass rhythm. The next one is what the feet do. And you see ternary and binary there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Cajon is going the subdivision. As you see, it's like the claves, like each part really relate to each other in such a great way. The other rhythmic element I wanted to use was the 12-beat Afro-Cuban bell pattern, sometimes called Bembe 6/8, Afro-Cuban 6/8 we call it. And I really enjoy like the connections between the Spanish 12/8, that even if people doesn't acknowledge it more, but it's really influenced by sub-Saharan African musics and all this element, which is Afro-Cuban. I think there are point of connections, and you will hear it, especially with this clave that I came out with. Sounds like this. One. Sometimes, oh, good. Okay, let's wait for a second. You will hear sometimes the musicians play the groove, emphasizing more the downbeats as in the Bulgaria, but some other times this is what we are going to hear, like the anticipations coming from the Afro-Cuban bell pattern, and I really like the connections there. So now we can clap along. How now is using those anticipations. Now it's really obvious on the right, and also third one. And the final piece for today is called Canción de Cuna para Despertar a un Negrito, Cradle Song to Wake Up a Black Boy. It is inspired in a poem written by Nicolás Guillén, the national Cuban poet, and I use his voice reciting the poem as part of the recording. I would like to play now the first part of the song only, which is in 13/4, the first 6 beats as shown here, coming from Rumba Clave 3/2 and 7 beats of Rumba Clave 2/3. The bass line of this song is particularly true composed, and it's implying all the different subdivisions within the established 13. This opened very interesting and new possibilities for me regarding the harmonic rhythm. So let's check it out. that's pretty much the compositional process behind that song. Thank you. The second part of the song is a celebration to Afro-Cuban culture. It returns to 12/8, which is at the end, the base of all these ideas, and it uses an Arara chant called Canto a Soyin. The batatoke employed is called la lubanche, and is usually used to accompany the prayers to Elewa Orisha, a deity from the Yoruba religion that represents a child. So there is a very good connection there. And the words of the poem, that for time's sake, I'm not going to share it today, but it's there. I invite you all to listen to the music. Before I play the final part of the composition, I would like to close up by thanking you again for being part of this presentation. Exploring the concept of clave and expanding on its meaning have been a great way of rethinking about my identity and the way I choose to portray it in my music. After graduation, my plans are to continue using all these elements in my compositions. I will continue working to release the music that has come as a result of all these explorations. Last but not least, I'm truly interested in the pedagogical implications that this topic has for music education. I believe that there is a lot of potential here to enrich the curriculums of subjects like composition, arranging, orchestration, counterpoint, improvisation, ear training, etc. In the efforts of decolonizing music instruction, the studies of clave as core of Afro-diasporic musical cultures can be a really useful tool to discover new territories in a creative way, and more important of all, a way of connecting people through music. So, let's enjoy the final part of Canción de Cuna para Despertar Negrito.
Ella timbo ya tambo maito no me maito no me Ari preti ya tambo maito no me maito no me Soy ya va tambo maito no me maito no me Azuko ya va tambo maito no me maito no me Ella timbo ya tambo maito no me Ari preti ya tambo maito no me Soy ella va tambo maito no me Azuko ya va tambo maito no me maito no me Ella timbo ya tambo maito no me maito no me Ari preti ya tambo maito no me Soy ella va tambo maito no me maito no me Azuko ya va tambo maito no me maito no me
Thank you. You see, that's why I dedicated a slide for these people. I love them. Thank you.
Okay, the first question comes from your panel member, Leo Blanco.
first question. Well, no, but first of all, it's a great presentation. I'm really, really glad and happy and proud of all the work you have done on this. Just curiosity, if you have linked or associated on all this great material, the role of dancing on it, that I know it's not being done in a traditional way because of the odd meters. And first, I mean, I have a problem with the word odd in this kind of, because the purpose is that it dances, and all the music you have done here, it dances by itself, right? So odd is not probably a good representation of that. But I think by making these claves adapted in, let's say, irregular meters, also is a link, a bridge for the dancing aspect, which is so, it cannot be separated from the music history, right? So I don't know if you have any.
I've been like researching about it like really deep for the last 6 months. I think there is a lot of like potential. In my case, like what I'm aware, and this was like a constant struggle with Chase. It's like, Cubans, we don't dance in 5 or 7. We don't do it. So like for myself, it had to be a first thing that I had to get out to, right? And what I see about the potential of the Clave, I think, is like when you come from there, from that mindset, from that way of organizing the music, you can really get that feel into this new space where I'm not planning to make people dance as a priority. I'm just really using those elements of the music just to recreate a sound that I like. I think is part of my identity. If people feel like dancing, like you can feel everybody like kind of feeling the pulse. I don't know if it will ever become a dance. I'm not that, ambitious right now. But yeah, I think I do appreciate those relationships. And that's why in some of the videos, I try to create the connections with the dance. Because although it might sound like sophisticated and nerdy stuff, it's not really. I'm really coming from a really honest place, trying to just let my music breathe and really like recreate all the elements that are part of me. I just decided to make them, live in with some other flavors. But yeah, thank you for asking about that.
More than a question, it was just a general consideration that I asked myself too.
Definitely.
Next, Chase Morin as an advisor.
Yeah, Camila. Woo. I mean, I was just smiling the entire time because you led us on this journey, and I've been with you to see how this has developed, and it's just incredible to see the presentation, the music, all of this, how it's developed this clarity that we were all feeling musically and everything in your presentation, but also how you were teaching us. I thought it was incredible how this stuff is deep and complex and takes years and lifetimes to get into, and you're bringing us a little window already into that, and that's really special. I think really this has the power to go beyond to many, many people throughout the world and touch a lot of people. So I guess my question would be just if you could expand upon that pedagogy aspect of things, because I know that's something that's really important to you, and what maybe some of your goals are, some of the things going through your mind related to that.
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. And I just want to acknowledge that Chase have been really close to me in this process. I don't think I would have made it nearly this far if it wasn't really guiding me, because like it was pretty chaotic. I mean, now it sounds kind of makes sense, but in my head it was very chaotic. And yes, I've been very interested in the educational aspect, and I'm very happy to see Leo Blanco. I came in 2018 in the fall. I was in his ensemble and I couldn't play one note. And it's like, yeah, people say like, yeah, you're Cuban, you're supposed to have a good rhythm. It's like, yeah, but I have no clue how to handle all this metric, all this language that you have to develop. So for me, one of the applications will be true ensemble. That's why I'm so interested in building the repertoire. Because if you write music that have all these elements, people have to, play it, and at the end, that's what it have the last word, if it works on the bandstand or it doesn't. So I really think like true ensemble playing, it have a lot of potential just to create exercises to develop the technical elements that we really need to be coping with to handle repertoire of this style in particular. Also, we can teach, and that's why I mentioned about the elements of composition, orchestration, because like it's so contrapuntual. And I would love, I love theory. My first bachelor is in musicology, so it's like, to me, a way of connecting that to my compositions and to my playing. It's been a huge deal to me, like, identity-wise. So I think it would be great, like, if you can teach contrapoint, just showing how all these relate with African elements. And maybe you just take out the pitch as, like, the main element, but you can focus on rhythm that didn't have pitches, because if the relationship of the lows and highs is not right, you won't get that kind of polyrhythm. So everything makes perfect sense. And it's just a way of, wow, we can learn and really expand. Everything doesn't need to be European or no, we can really have a lot of potential. And by doing that, we have the opportunity to connect to those students that are there. Because as soon as you give me something that I can relate to, I will be like, oh, so that's what you mean by counterpoint. And there are cultural implications there that I think are very valuable, and that will be all of the elements. Ear training, like rhythmic elements, I'm really interested. I don't know, I will try at some point to just go into either university, college teaching or something like that. I think I need to play more all this to really own it, but ideally we'll be really sharing it with other people. And very soon, I received not too long ago a grant that was to creating a book with piano pieces just for piano students that I'm planning to bring to Cuba, bringing some of these elements, of course, simplified, but again, in piano repertoire, just to open that possibility for students, and that would be the next thing. Thank you for asking that. Forced to talk.
What? Okay, hi. You know what, Camila, I was reflecting on something that I was trying to think of why I was so moved by your presentation, besides the fact that I love you and you're a dear student. But back in the late 80s, I think it was, when I was just a little pup and Danilo was even a smaller pup than I was. And I've always been a Clave visitor, if you will, as a French guy who kind of likes Latin music. Chucho Valdez was coming to visit, and Oscar Stagnaro decided to do a tribute gig, to honor him. So we put together a little gig in a bar nearby, and Chucho came in with his musicians, and we played a couple tunes, and then we played something in 7/4 in Clave, and his musician walked out and made their feelings very obvious to all of us. You guys are laughing, right? Meaning that you couldn't do that to Clave back in the late 80s. This is long before Danilo, put out his own records, and started messing with this stuff. And so I just want to say that the historical and cultural importance of you, a Cuban woman, standing up there teaching us about Clave in odd meters is not lost on me. And I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I don't know what to say. I'm blown away. It's amazing. I'm blown away. It's a part of, it comes right of the vision, that, and I'm really moved. I'm feeling hopeful, and just saying thank you. I have some comments here, but I can't even go there. This is like, I think Alain hit it right on the spot. I went to Cuba in '98 and presented a lot of these things, and it was amazing to have that welcome in Cuba with the, so it's like, that was in '98. We're talking 22 now. It's amazing. What can I say? Please apply global. You have a space here. Marco, we got to open a class. I'll take it. Berklee needs you. And this is one of the most concise, direct conclusions I've heard in the 2022.
Congratulations, Camila.
Thank you so much, Clave. Thank you.
Okay, we'll shortly present the next presentation. Thank you.